Greetings, friends, and welcome to the French Toast Night Podcast, episode number 18, I believe, if I'm correctly recalling. So my name is Paul Witt. I'll be the host for this episode, and I want to welcome your friends and mine, Mr. Aaron Boyce from Salt Lake City, Mr. Kevin Moses from Lapeer, Michigan, and Rob Phipps from Canton, Michigan. So good afternoon, fellas.
Good afternoon.
Hey, how are we all doing?
Good day, sir.
Good. 18 episodes. Do you remember when, like, calendar year we started? I cannot remember.
I don't know if it's. I think it's kind of eternal, eternal past, eternal future at this point.
It's been appointed from eternity past.
It was sometime, I thought, in like February, March. I thought.
I was curious as to our ratio of weeks to episodes. Like, are we averaging one every 2 weeks?
One per eclipse.
I'll get our staff on that.
That's my ratio. I'm one per eclipse.
Yes. And by the way, if you see Nate Offord out there, anyone sees Nate Offord, please call the local authorities. He's been missing. We miss him. Hashtag miss him. And we would love to have him back on the episode. In fact, take a few minutes, maybe private message him, text him, tell him that you miss him on the episode, and they're just not the same without him.
No, don't expect to hear back from him because he's super busy. So busy.
Oh my word! It's unbelievable how busy he is. So, Nate, if you're listening, we do miss you, and we love you, and we're not bitter. You're making us better. Thanks. So
if you're listening and your name is Nate and you can fill in for Nate, let us know.
Yeah. So we would take that at this point.
I will say I had coffee and lunch with Nate 2 Sundays ago.
What?
So that's the last time I've seen him. But Sunday afternoons, very chill time for him, obviously.
And then the very next day, you and I supped. We broke bread at the Cracker Barrel.
That's right.
Barrel crackers. We did not eat a single cracker.
Yep. But we destroyed that lady's table section where we took that one table for a good 3 hours, or she got no dips.
Oh boy, yeah, not good for the gratuity.
It was gratuitous.
Yeah. So, well, let's jump in, fellas, and we'll try to keep this moving. Thanks again for those of you watching or listening to the podcast or the vidcast, or have they come up with like a single name for that? Is there such a thing as a pidcast or a vodcast, or maybe we could, but whatever you're doing, thanks for following along, and hope to make it worth your while a little bit. Well, usually when we record, there's been an occasion that we've recorded at night, but most of the times we've recorded in the middle of the day. So most of our episodes are recorded in proximity to lunch, and so that got me to thinking: what is your favorite kind of sandwich? Deli sandwich, a sub, hot sandwich, or something like that. Maybe one you make for yourself, preferably maybe one that you order, you purchase whenever you're at a certain restaurant or whatever. But what is your favorite kind of sandwich, Rob? What's your favorite kind of sandwich?
Well, this is a little bit of a complex answer for me. Since March, I've eschewed the sugar and carbohydrates. So I don't eat a lot of bread, not because I'm gluten intolerant or gluten free. I say free the gluten.
Yes.
Just for me.
Tear down the gluten statues.
Yeah. So when I come to your home, I have no medical reason why I cannot eat bread or any of those things. So I just choose not to. It's a choice.
But it doesn't prohibit it from still being a favorite. You're just not eating it.
Right. Well, my answer, what I wanted to steer the conversation with, is most of these sub places, the hidden back menu is these killer salads. So, and then there are even a few that have some fun names, like Jersey Mike's has a sub and a tub.
This is the After Dark edition of the French Toast Podcast. So
that sounds like a failed name for one of our camp games. During brainstorming, someone said that. We're like, no.
Or the Navy of a really small country. The Yemen Navy is called the sub and a tub.
So I've been connoisseuring salads at all these restaurants, trying to find the best one. So I like a Subway's salad. I like Jersey Mike. All of them pretty happy with. But those little pizza joints like Mod Pizza. I don't know if you guys have anything like that. Those little make your own pizza build. Those have the best salads, and by far, I would drive out of my way to get a Mod salad, which is basically a sandwich in a bowl minus the bread.
Nice. That's your final answer?
Final answer. But if I had to go back to bread, I would get Jimmy John's sub in a heartbeat.
A what?
Jimmy John's.
Which?
You make me sick. I mean, not you, but Jimmy John's.
Here we go. Here we go. We got protesters. We got anti-protesters. This is where it goes off the rails right here.
What's the one called with all the roast beef on it?
Is that the Italian night? Oh no. I don't remember.
It's
So it's a roast beef sandwich. Is that what you want?
Straight up roast beef and cheese.
How about those pickles?
Oh boy, I had someone mention that today. They said Jimmy John's. Oh, that's where you go get the pickles, isn't it, Rob?
Oh, you're talking to Kevin earlier.
I would have said something about, oh, that's where you overpay for not a lot of food.
You pay for the speed.
Kevin, that was one of your most accepted and liked tweets a while ago, a few weeks ago, when there was something I forgot the title of it. There's something that's controversial.
Unpopular opinion.
Unpopular opinion. Thank you. And you said Jimmy John's is overrated or something like that.
And all the wise people agree.
It went viral. You need to make more viral tweets.
Yeah, I'll do my best.
Okay.
Kevin, the key is having someone that goes to your church that works at the Jimmy John's, so you get a little discount.
Aha.
I have said before that if someone else is buying it, I don't mind Jimmy John's. I really don't.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
All right, Kevin. What about you? What's your favorite sandwich?
Man, it's hard. So if I go favorite, it's like going to be really big, doctored up. I thought of that place we stopped at in Kentucky, Wallace Station.
Yeah. That was very good. That was a triple D.
Yeah. But I'm going to go with like a go-to sandwich for me, one that I have pretty regular, and that is wheat bread. I make this at home. Wheat bread, a lot of peanut butter, and sliced banana.
Good.
It's breakfast or lunch.
That sounds great.
It's portable. It's got a good mix of protein and carbs. So I eat that probably once a week. I'll have that. But if I could go back and do it all over again, I would have more of the Aaron Boyce panini in the Northland Dining Hall. Yeah. So we would always tease Aaron because it would take him about 20 minutes to make his lunch. But once or twice
on a good day, 20 minutes.
Yeah.
But once or twice, I had him help me make a panini. I watched him make a panini for me, and they were delicious.
Oh yeah.
If I could have that again, I would.
Give a man a panini. You feed him, but you teach him to make a panini. You feed him for life or something. I don't know.
Panini me once, shame on me. Panini me twice.
Go there for him. Be one, make paninis.
That's not what your panini can do for you, but what you can do for your panini.
Oh my word, that'll preach. I keep hearing a ding. I think it's somebody's receiving a text, but it's every time we say something funny. So I like it. It's like a humor meter. Hey,
I don't know how to turn it off. How do I turn off where it makes noise on my MacBook?
Put the notifications on do not disturb.
How do I do that?
Top right corner, those little lines in the dot.
Okay. Oh, there it is.
Then notifications.
Got it. Thank you.
That's what I did when I started because I was dinging.
You're welcome to keep doing it. It's fine. It was just humorous. The timing of it was really humorous.
Yeah.
So.
Every time a MacBook rings and an angel gets his wings.
He gets pressed.
What about you, Boyce? What's your favorite sandwich?
Well, I mean, I do love making paninis. Let's just be honest about that. I got a little carried away at Northland. I understand the like any.
You went to every line. You went to every line that was open. The soup line, the bread line, the main line, the dessert line. You had something on your sandwich.
I'm laughing at what Paul just said.
I missed it.
It's okay. You can listen to it on the podcast.
Junk.
I think one time I actually made 2 waffles and then something in between the waffles and pressed it in the panini maker.
I think you did that with my son.
Yeah, something like that.
with the ice cream.
My son wants the dining common. I come in and you had a waffle and ice cream panini
Yes.
for breakfast.
So I enjoy that, but I really do enjoy just a nice egg bagel sandwich, guys.
Oh, come on now.
No, I just made one this morning. Actually, I had an additional bagel. I've been inheriting some bagels from different places.
Inheriting.
It's kind of
So thoughtful of your ancestors.
Are you involved in foster care for bagels?
teachers meeting, and then from Einstein Bagels, I had a couple extra, and then from our Ragnar that we just accomplished, we had some.
Hello. For those of you watching, or for those of you listening, he just gave us a glimpse of his Ragnar shirt.
Come on now.
I asked my parents to leave me money when they passed, but bagels can also be very personal.
It's pretty
My
simple.
last will and testament.
A fried egg with broken yolk, some tomatoes, some cheese, maybe even some mayonnaise there. Recently, what I've been doing is actually adding some cream cheese to that, and it's actually really good. So, yeah.
Dude, that's the Phipps bagel sandwich.
There you go.
Oh yeah,
South Carolina thing.
Yep, Charleston.
That's awesome.
dude. See, I go a little more traditional and definitely nothing healthy, which I haven't had one of these in probably a couple of years. But my favorite sandwich is a Reuben.
Ooh, that's good.
From Richards. From Richards.
You know what?
So
My favorite Reuben is at Richards on Highway 8 in Dunbar. They had a great Reuben for years. Now, the most prominent Reuben that I ever had was at Carnegie Deli on Broadway in New York City. And I say by prominent, I think it was like $30, but it would feed like 4 people. And then Katz Deli has a really good Reuben as well. But Richards used to have a very, very good Reuben sandwich, and the corned beef and the Swiss and sauerkraut and dressing on the rye, toasted rye. So that would be my favorite. So you have to like sauerkraut, obviously, and not everybody does. Understand that's a preferred taste. So
I hate Reubens and every ingredient in them. It's not. Rye bread is the worst bread ever. It's got those seeds in it that taste like licorice, Paul. It's disgusting. I hate sauerkraut and corned beef and Swiss cheese and rye bread. And I was forced to eat them my entire life growing up. Sorry.
Wow. We just saw
open an orphanage.
we saw another.
Please,
do I have to go, Reuben?
please don't make me finish my Russian dressing.
Would you like some more?
You know what, Aaron? I'm sick of the hatred and animosity in this country about
This
Reubens.
podcast has gone so
Protesting
downhill.
your hate, my protest.
Man.
You guys are just tearing down my traditions of Reubens.
I'm sorry,
Just
man.
keep
I have a
those-
totally different version. That was like, Aaron, you better eat this in 5 minutes or you're going to be in trouble.
Ah,
Oh man, if I'd had that experience, I probably wouldn't like Reubens either. So,
I get it. I understand where you're coming from, man.
oh man, I'm there with you.
I recently ordered a sandwich. Totally didn't realize that pumpernickel is on there. It's the same. It's got caraway seeds in it. It's disgusting.
Carowinds, see,
Yeah, you can only get them up there at,
the little roller coaster.
Yeah, Cedar Point.
When you put those seeds in the ground, are they little like golf clubs and golf balls that grow?
Exactly.
I like pumpernickel though. I like the taste.
I just like saying it, but other than that, all right. Schools are starting everywhere around the country, or will be here in the next week or so. So I thought we'd have a little flashback to educational, our times involved in higher ed. Some of you still are from time to time, but thinking back, any level, grade school, high school, even college, who was your favorite teacher? Who was your favorite teacher that you remember, and why? Why were they your favorite teacher? Aaron, do you mind? Can you start this one off?
You said this includes college as well?
Yeah, at college, you can go back to grade school. It could be a teacher just because of her perfume. Preferably, that was while you were in grade school, not while you were in college.
Now I'm trying to think if I had any teachers that were actually GAs and that I was like attracted.
If you need that, I've got the list right here. So
No. I really liked one teacher in particular. Stu, what was his name?
tell he's really
double mark on you. I see.
impression. Yeah.
What was his last name? Ted Miller from the Bob Jones University. I don't know if you guys ever knew Ted.
I was in college with Ted.
Okay, well he taught
Society.
he taught a Christian Masterworks class where it was just basically reading like C.S. Lewis and John Bunyan and really some of the Christian classics, and he was just great. He did an awesome job with that. Really, I don't know, just he really loved what he taught and made people love it as well. So yeah, that was my favorite.
Good deal. Let's see, Kevin, what about you?
So my favorite teacher is my mom.
Aww.
I think she was your longest.
What
Right.
year? What year? Kevin?
From first grade to 12th grade. And I doubt
Shout out to Kim in case you're listening.
yeah, I doubt Kim is listening, but tomorrow is her birthday. Although when this episode posts, it might be today is her birthday. So happy birthday, Mom. Happy birthday.
Hey,
Happy birthday, Mom.
Mrs. Notice.
Yeah. So she was my teacher all the way through grade school and junior high school. Definitely my favorite teacher. But if I can tweak it to
Tweakage.
to just college.
Okay.
So you asked for favorite, not best.
Oh yeah.
So I'm going to say my favorite college teacher, which is not necessarily the best college teacher I had, but my favorite college teacher was Chuck Luttrell.
Oh.
So
Physical
Chuck
education?
Luttrell, yep, PE.
Oh.
He taught me probably, I took 3 or 4 of his classes. Like one was teaching golf and racquetball. You know, there were some that were a little bit more academically minded than that one, but not a lot. But he was just a great mentor, friend. He had an interest in us as people. He kept up with us after college and wanted to know how we were using what we learned. And then he helped me get involved with special needs events and ministries, and that was the first time I was involved in things like Special Olympics and stuff like that. And he kind of encouraged me to get involved, and then even taught me how to interact with people with disabilities, and it was really, really helpful. So Chuck Luttrell, not my best teacher, which you didn't ask, but was Greg Mazak. That's a different topic. Greg Mazak.
Oh yeah.
Hey, thanks, Chuck. Kevin wanted to make sure that we thank you, but wanted to remind the whole world that you weren't the best.
You were favorite because you took him to camp, but other than that,
Well,
You're fun, but you weren't great. Hey, but thank you.
Oh,
you were second best. But that's like first runner up.
Zach.
well, bless his heart. He passed away like about a year ago, maybe, or less.
Yeah.
I can't remember. But yeah, he's great.
Very good. Rob, what about you?
I had to think hard about this one because I don't remember a lot of my teachers because I don't remember a lot about what I did in any official schooling. But I had my piano teacher, which I took piano lessons from the 6th grade all the way through probably about the 11th grade.
Did she
Which
teach you
was-
Heavenly Sunlight?
No, we didn't get that far. I think I stayed in the Alfred books the entire time of my career, which was great for a young man going into high school. That really motivated me to want to practice. But,
Every good boy does fine always.
Exactly.
Thank you.
But my piano teacher was a guy, and he was one of the teachers at the Christian school, and it was my first male teacher that like took interest in you, kind of like what you were saying, Kevin, would chat and talk guy stuff. And I remember sitting in there during the lessons, just talking and connecting with him more than anything else. So my piano skills are lacking, but he was a cool teacher.
You okay, boys? Good deal.
Oh,
Piano teacher. Now, I think that's probably the most shocking thing. And when you're doing all the show prep for these French Toast episodes, the 3 or 4 minutes that I did, I think a piano teacher for Rob, as far as his favorite teacher, was not going to be on the list.
yeah. And Paul, before we get to yours, we should let our listeners know there's sometimes things that happen in the different studios where we're located that are not
Yes.
part of this conversation, but they make us laugh at different times.
Always.
And sometimes it makes us all laugh at the same time, even though it's different things.
The studios.
Yeah.
Studios are very important.
The palatial studios.
And if you're listening and you want to know what's going on behind the scenes, unless your name is Nate Offord, you can't. And if your name is Nate Offord, you can only if you join our podcast.
Yeah.
Carry on, Paul. What was your favorite teacher?
My favorite teacher was 5th grade, and it was Mr. Cuddington.
Cuddington.
5th grade, Rolling Hills Elementary School. And it was combination of the stage of life, transitions, the first, as you're kind of going through all these kind of changes and everything, it's like this first guy that kind of comes into the teaching realm, and it's like, oh wow, men can teach too. So it was kind of a cool deal. And he was just really relaxed. He was really chill, and he was very interesting because he was an explorer. He did a lot of spelunking and cave exploration. So he was always bringing these the pictures, back then slides of all these places. So
Black and white.
yeah, pretty much. And so he was just well respected, cool dude. In fact, I a couple of weeks ago, his name came up in a discussion group I was in with some old classmates. And so we Googled his name and found out that he is still writing books on spelunking in that area. So very entertaining. Now, my one memory of him that's not as pleasant, which is not his fault, definitely mine, was Star Wars debuted in the summer of 1977. And so that was just prior to my 5th grade year with Mr. C. And obviously it was just national hysteria about Star Wars. And so we go into the school year, and I had saved my money and purchased a Hans Solo blaster pistol.
Oh.
And I took it to school.
How much would that be worth right now?
What's that?
How much would that be worth right now?
Yeah, that's a good question. So it was a toy, just a toy pistol that made noise when you fired it. So I fired it in class.
Pew, pew, pew.
And back in those days, you had to write sentences when you got in trouble. I don't know if you guys ever had to do that, but
On the chalkboard or in paper at your seat?
yeah, it depended on the time of the day that it happened. So
Okay.
this happened early in the day. If it was later in the day for after school, you'd stay after school and you'd write them on the chalkboard. But I had to write 500 sentences. I will not discharge my blaster pistol in class without permission. 500 times. Yeah. It's, if you have like an easy thing to write, sometimes you could cheat because on a paper you could write it, you could draw the line all the way down from top to bottom, and then make it all your eyes.
Yeah.
But the word permission, that takes a lot of work. So that was that took hours, and so that was never done again. So I learned my lesson.
500.
500. So
I'd say that's memorable.
yes. All right. Let's move on to a somewhat serious, definitely a topic conversation within the sports world, and even the social world per se. But former San Francisco 49er quarterback Colin Kaepernick made waves, caused controversies last year. I think it even started in the preseason when he chose to kneel during the national anthem and to protest. At that point, I think he was protesting police brutality or police violence or such. And obviously that led to a highly publicized and currently a hotly debated topic, specifically with the NFL, about players should be required to stand for the anthem, or should you even keep a player that won't stand for the anthem? And depending on where you are, there's just all kinds of really hot takes about this. So my question for us is this: if you were a coach of an NFL team, what would you say to your team, if anything, about national anthem decorum, about their behavior choices per se during the national anthem? So, Kevin, why don't you start us off on this one?
Shoo-wee. This is This is a fun one in the sense that I think it takes us back to like fundamental principles just of life and even life in America.
We are
so
fundamentalists, so it's just really helpful.
That's right. And Aaron works for a principal, so.
Oh, wow.
As a teacher. So there's a couple like fundamental, here I go again with the word fundamental, but there are a couple truths that I think as a coach, I would just base my words on. And I don't know that I would say these, but maybe I would. One is that we are free in America, and we should be free in America to gather, to stand or sit, peacefully. We have freedom of speech, all these things. Obviously, when it crosses over into physical violence, that's a different line. There's a line there. So we should have that freedom. We do have that freedom. But secondly, employers can make regulations of their employees to do certain things. So the NFL has the right, if they wanted, or an owner has the right, if they wanted, to tell their employees to do a certain thing. So we all get that. And if you don't like that, it's a business. You're a customer. You cannot watch the NFL. You can, not follow them on social media and not buy their products. Like, it's a business. So it's a good thing we have all this freedom. And as a consumer, you can choose to not support them as a company. But the other thing that I think sometimes I see on social media, people are like, how dare they disrespect the flag like that? Okay, so respect is an attitude that we cannot enforce.
Exactly.
Like, I can make you stand or sit if you're my employee, or I can fire you if you don't, but I can't make you respect. It's kind of like, as a parent, I can enforce my child's obedience, but I cannot enforce their honor of me. As the Bible says, children obey, honor your, one is an outward conformity, one is an inward heart disposition attitude. So that's like that's how my mind worked as I thought about this question. So I think what I would say is maybe I would share those things, maybe I wouldn't, but I would just say, hey, just, the way this affects the team is the distraction that it might cause and the attention it might cause. So we as a team want to help you as a player know how to navigate questions you might get and the distractions. So if you're planning to do something like this, just let us know so we can help you communicate well what you're demonstrating for or what your beliefs are. I really would genuinely not try to change their beliefs in that moment for that situation, but I would just want to help them think through how to navigate all the publicity, et cetera, afterward. That's probably all I would say.
Good. Boyce, anything different, changes, any? I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
Oh, goodness. I think.
Hey, listen, and there's no wrong answer. Just kidding.
Yeah, I don't know what I think about the thing as a whole, but I agree with what Kevin was just saying. From what I had heard, the national anthem wasn't even always played before games. Is that correct?
Bingo.
Right.
It's always been played, but the
players were in the locker room.
Teams were never required to be out there until just the last 10 years or so.
So my guess is that the NFL brought them in probably in wake of 9/11. Is that accurate, or am I thinking that?
Actually, there's a controversial history about why the NFL brought them in.
Okay.
And I hesitate to kind of even go into it because I don't know if it's totally been verified, but there seems to be enough traction that has something to do with the U.S. military actually being a sponsor of the NFL.
Nice.
They requested that players actually be out since they're a sponsor.
Yeah.
So,
which I think is legitimate. It's what Kevin was talking about. They're a business, and honestly, if that's the case, they did it for money, and if they'd require their guys to stand, they're probably doing that for money too, because the predominant base of people who watch sports, I think, tend to be more conservative, if I'm not mistaken on that, and so. You're going to ruffle feathers either way. You're going to definitely ruffle feathers if you, at this point, because everything's reactionary. If you take away, what's that?
It's not.
It's not.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
I hate Rubens. I hate them.
So if they don't even bring the players out anymore, people are going to hate them. If they allow people to kneel, they're going to hate them. If they force people to stand, they're going to hate them. So. yeah, I think from a coaching level, you want to just say, yeah, do it in a way that is either way is respectful. But I don't know if I would be able to add much more to that because I have a backlog on thoughts of, what that all means anyway. And, I don't know.
So there have to be, and I'm sorry, Rob, for cutting you off, but there has to be players in the NFL who are not American citizens, correct?
True.
Very few.
So, and we expect them to stand, well, I shouldn't say expect, but the culture, the tradition at least, is to stand. But I hope and there's different ways to show respect, but in their heart, they're not pledging allegiance to the U.S. I mean, maybe they are, but we're expecting them to show respect, and yet they're citizens of a different country. I don't know.
Well, aren't we all? But that's another story.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, Kevin, do you stand for the national anthem? Because I do believe you're a citizen of a
Amen. Amen. Well, I'm like the Philippians. We're citizens of two countries.
Only if they display the Christian flag at the football game.
Yes,
that's right.
That's the country I'm a citizen.
The Awana flag.
Well, that too. Rob,
sorry, Rob. I kind of spotted off there.
No, I always go back to the bigger picture. I'm like, I think we should, as a country, show solidarity of our country because we live in America. Just because Kaepernick lives in America, that gives him the right to earn millions of dollars to play a game. When we cease to be America and a great nation, you cease to make any money off of your sports abilities. We go to a third world country where you play sports after work and you make nothing. You go work in a factory. You stand in line for jobs. So it's like, I feel like the fact that America affords us the right to play sports because we're America and we can earn income off of sporting ability, I guess. I think that's only because we're America, not because of anything else. So I think when I say protest in a different way, show solidarity for the country because we're citizens of this country, but protests, because he's not protesting against America, he's protesting against, racist actions or whatever else. Find a better way to do it. But I think if we lack solidarity as a country and we tank because we're all fighting each other, it won't matter. You won't have an anthem to kneel for, or you won't have a contract. We won't have sports. We'll just be, working for our Russian or Chinese dictator or a Canadian dictator to take us over because, I hate this country because we can't get along. Oh, okay.
Wow.
Someone took us over? Okay, great.
For those of you who are not watching, just listening on the podcast, a bald eagle just landed on Rob's shoulder while he was doing that.
Is that Lee Greenwood in the background?
Olive branch in his mouth.
That's great.
Very moving. All right, I wrote this out a little bit. If I were a coach, the first thing I would do is no, I'm not telling you to write it out. I wrote it out. Take notes. Hey guys. Hey, you kids, pay attention. Get the hat off.
I'm gonna write this 500 times, Paul. Hope it's not a long sentence.
The first thing I would do is I would, with my team, I would definitely give them a background of the anthem and the flag and how it represents more of the past, as far as more of the past sacrifices that have been made, than it does specifically current events. Because I believe most of the protests that take place today don't take place because of the Revolutionary War or the World War I or World War II. I think most of the protests that these players are making are taking place because of current events, current social inactions, political climate, what they perceive as police violence and such. So I'd give them the background of the anthem and the flag just to kind of, I think there's a disconnect in some ways. In other words, I'm protesting this, but I don't think it has as much to do with that.
Yeah.
The second thing I would communicate to them is I'd communicate the reality that I do respect the freedom of speech that the players have, and the freedom of speech per se to kneel, to peacefully demonstrate, even during the anthem. I respect that, and I will support them if that's what they feel like they have to do. Because ironically, that freedom of speech has actually been provided by what the flag represents in front of them that they're actually protesting. So I'd make that connection as well. Mm-hmm. The third thing I do is I would express my desire, though, and I would ask them to not protest in this way during these events, out of respect, as I mentioned, for those who've served in the military in the past, and even our fans who probably are currently active in the military and such. So I think it would send a not so good message. But I'd also ask them not to do it because of kind of what Rob was mentioning, but even maybe on a smaller scale, I would ask them not to protest in this way because I'd like for us to be unified as a team as much as possible. And I'd like for us to stick together and not promote individualism, not to promote individualism as far as individual protest and things like that. Which brings me to the last thing I'd share, and that would be if this is a cause that they feel so strongly about, then I would like for us as an organization to do something together to show, to raise awareness or to show our disappointment about something. But let's all do it together, and let's do it around something that would matter more, whether it's, again, some sort of a campaign that our organization would help sponsor, raising money or whatnot. So I don't know. Those are steps I would take. Again, I would support their right to do it, but I would ask them not to do it. I didn't even think about the distraction aspect, but that would be I think, can't remember who mentioned that earlier, Kevin, maybe you, but that would be a great reason, along with the unity and such like that. But like you said, you can't make somebody. It's the old proverbial, I'm standing on the outside, but I'm sitting down on the inside. Yeah. Is that what we want? I don't know.
And that's, I think, me, that's what I'm hearing and seeing some of, and primarily social media, but even other outlets, like people saying, these athletes need to respect our flag. Well, if you mean they need to stand, I mean, that's a different discussion. Respect, like you can't make someone respect. I hope they do. I like them to respect it, but standing does not equate respect necessarily.
Good. Any other thoughts?
Yeah, just the cynic in me is annoyed by people who you have no idea if they actually are doing something tangible outside of that. That's really not doing anything. You're not taking a knee is actually not in the sense of accomplishing something.
Right.
You can make the argument that it is, but taking a knee, writing a red X on your hand, those don't actually do what you're saying things are accomplishing, if that makes sense.
I think
so.
I agree with Boyce.
So right, what's that?
I agree with Boyce in the sense that it's self-serving. It's like it puts him in the spotlight, but I don't know how many people's lives he helped or saved by doing that.
Yeah.
Well, Kaepernick, to be fair, I think I just read this morning where he is at $800,000 now. He's on his pledge has been to give $1 million of his own money towards several different social ventures. And this past week, he just donated another $100,000. So he's at $800,000. And actually it goes to multiple different types of charities and awareness type of things. So
awesome.
So for him, I think he is putting his money where his mouth is. But I would also say,
but he might not have that much money that very much longer to put out there.
Yeah, he's definitely drawing off of a prolonged guaranteed money that he did have.
Yeah.
Now, maybe for another podcast we could talk about is the NFL shutting him out? Is our owners and GMs and are they legitimately shutting him out?
Or does he suck?
Or is he not very good? Thank you.
Sorry.
I do everything I can to keep this above the board, and you see how hard it is.
Nate, we need you. We need you, Nate.
We need to bring this up a level.
But yeah, or is his style of play just has it passed him by? And I think that's probably more. I think that read option type quarterback in the NFL. Yeah, is the NFL shutting out Robert RG3, or is he shutting himself out by his
tweet I read, Paul?
What's that?
I think you read the same tweet I read.
Oh, I haven't read anything. I'm sorry. I should. I should, but
someone drew a comparison between RG3 and Colin Kaepernick, and same idea. Read option is not fashionable anymore. You got to be a pocket passer, et cetera, et cetera. So
yeah, because I think the league kind of went through that experiment, and they kind of have come out and go, I don't think it's going to work. And so how would you bring in a Colin Kaepernick to be your backup if it's not even remotely close to the system that you run? But that's probably another show. All right, one last question. We'll we'll finish up here. Football season is starting in earnest, and I think we all enjoy the game of football. So, question for you is this: what was the first football game, either college or pro, that you remember going to? Who'd you go with, and what do you remember about the game itself, if anything? Do you remember the first college or pro game, college football or pro football game that you went to? Who'd you go with, and anything that you remember about the game? Rob, do you have any remembrances?
Yeah, my first Packer game, I went with I think Craig Tass.
I bet you did.
He got me tickets, so that we found tickets. He had connections, so we went down there. I think it was in a the colder part of the season, not like snowy, not December, but I think it was like in October. I think I wore about 10 layers, anticipating it just being like sub-zero degree temperatures. But it was not that cold because you're surrounded so closely by all the other warm alcohol imbibed bodies. But just the roar of the crowd when the home team there is so like just like, you know, that cheer. But the one great distinct thing about the Packers, which stands out from other people that talk about their NFL experiences, is because of the ticket system with the season tickets being handed down. There was always, any game I went to, there was always an older couple in your section that had been there for years, and it kind of made the crowd a little more diverse. It wasn't just crazy young people. There's always a little old couple that they'd come to every home game. They're so sweet. You talk to them, and they say, "Oh, you must have bought so-and-so's tickets because they're always here." And
I was going to say they probably ask who you were and how do you know the people that's tickets that you have. Yes, that's what I've gotten.
So it just gave it that little bit of a hometown family feel. So I always enjoyed. I've never had a bad experience at the Packer Stadium. I think I went to at least 4 games while we were in Wisconsin.
Good deal. Kev, what about you? What's the first game you remember going to, football game?
You know, there's a discussion about whether or not the Lions are a professional team. But when I was really young, I went to a Lions preseason game.
Yeah.
But I don't remember anything about that. But there were like 3 decades before I went to another college or pro game. And that was 2 years ago. I went to the Michigan home game when they played Northwestern. And this was the week that they kind of came out nationally as being a team to be considered or taken seriously. So they were still undefeated at that point. Northwestern, I think, was undefeated, or maybe they only had 1 loss at that point. This was mid-season. And the defense had shut out a bunch of opponents, but Northwestern was considered to be a formidable opponent, and this was Harbaugh's first year. And it was kind of a big game. It was played up as a big game, like is Michigan going to be for real this year? And they came out and beat them 35-0. And it was like Michigan's for real, at least at that point in the season. And there was a gentleman in our church who has season tickets. He's a charter member of the Michigan fan club. He graduated from the University of Michigan decades ago. And so anyway, so it's good seats and really fun atmosphere. I had never been to a college football game, and definitely not at that level. And it's so much more than the game. You guys probably know this. You've been to college games. It's like just the fanfare, and we stand there before the game, watch the band walk up, and they're playing, and it just really, really, the whole experience is really, really cool. So got to do that last year. Got to go to another game this past season, which was a really good game. It was the Wisconsin game.
Oh, God.
I think the score was 14-7. It was a close game, really good game. And it came down to Wisconsin's final drive when a Michigan cornerback, Jordan Lewis, made a one-handed interception at midfield where he just jumped and then just hung there in midair for what seemed like a long time. And I thought for sure Wisconsin was going to score the game-tying touchdown because he jumped way too early. And from where I was sitting, I was like, there's no way he's going to even get a hand on that. And I thought, oh, here we go. Wisconsin's going to score this, going to tie it up. And then I thought, well, he might get a finger on it and like tip it up in the air so the Wisconsin guy can grab it and highlight real touchdown. And then he can't end up coming down with it. It was just.
That was one of the plays of the year. That was always a finalist in the quote unquote college plays of the year at the end of the season.
Yes. I'll share one more quick.
I think was that was on 4th down too. So
yes,
if he had to wherewithal, he could have just knocked it down. They've got better field position. But like you said, you probably risk actually tipping it to a Wisconsin receiver. So.
Yeah, I think in his position, and again, you don't know, like, athletes maybe in the moment are just thinking what they're trained to do, which is grab it. But yeah, in his position,
that's exactly what we do.
If he would have gotten his hand on it, it probably would have been touchdown Wisconsin. But really quickly, the best halftime show I've ever seen, was when I lived in Chattanooga, Tennessee. Went to a high school football game at Brainerd High School, and they were playing a crosstown rival. And both high schools were predominantly African American. And the halftime drumline show, I had never been to anything like that before, and it rocked my world. It was so good. It was so good. So if you have any opportunity to go to a high school football game, especially a high school that has a really good drum line, the halftime show is incredible. Incredible.
Totally agree.
They use the drums?
Well, it's like a bodhran, if you're familiar.
Those are okay.
You have to go pink.
Evangelistic teams use those.
Bodhran and timpani is what they use.
Carrying around a timpani would be hilarious.
They use those little drums from Karate Kid. I'll tell you what that is later, Kevin.
I've actually seen that movie, Wax On, Wax Off. It's like
That's not about Frazier. This is not about Jeremy Frazier and the Karate. It's not the Karate Kid. No, it's it's actually a movie, motion picture, Hollywood.
Yeah, there's no sledgehammers and cinder blocks at all.
Yeah, it's in the cinema. It was in the cinema.
Hey, 2 episodes in a row that Jeremy Frazier makes an appearance.
Boom. Nate offered. Hey. All right. we can edit that out, right?
Nope.
We love you, Nate. All right. What about you, boys?
Yeah. So the one that I can remember the most, where I really started enjoying Clemson football, was back on October 14th, 2000, where Clemson played Maryland, and I still have the ticket from it in an Altoid tin.
They played the Turtles.
Look at that.
Terrapins.
Some orange grass from the field.
Wow.
I'm this up. I still have.
Are you sure that's what that is?
The players gave it to me after the game. He said it was in his locker.
So you're guilty of drug possession or vandalism, one of the two.
I'm not sure, but I thought, looking back, I thought we were actually like underranked or something like that, and they were just a better team. But I looked at the record, and we were actually ranked number 4 in the nation at that time. So we should have beaten them, and we beat them soundly. But Clemson has this tradition of inviting fans in the field. They're not storming the field; they're invited to.
No, they're storming the field every time. That's what I read on Twitter. Every win, they storm the field. That's what all the uneducated people are.
I don't want to hear about it. You're invited to the field, although sometimes they storm.
The invitation's always open.
I was going to say, is there an invitation at the end? And the quarterback.
2 episodes in a row, we use that joke.
Tom Farrell's there. He invites. No, okay.
We're going to play the second verse of our fight song, so everyone come down.
Anyway, I took a quarter and dug up some of the orange turf from the paw in the center of the field because my friend told me that it was like tradition to do that.
Everybody does it, Aaron.
And but yeah, so that was when I started getting like interested in Clemson specifically. I can't remember if that was my first football game because I know I've been to several Panthers games. Definitely a lot of Clemson games since then, some Utes games and stuff like that. So
What year was that again? 80?
2000.
Oh, 2000.
Yeah, right. I was 13.
So who would have played for Clemson in 2000?
Woody Dantzler.
Oh, wow. Woodrow Dantzler. Quarterback.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
That's all I remember.
He was the pre-Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, and by like
very similar in styles and everything.
Yep.
Good deal. All right, mine real quick. Mine was from 1980. I know I went to games before that, but 1980, Alabama versus Georgia Tech in Birmingham at Legion Field. Alabama played half their home games in Tuscaloosa and half of them at Legion Field in Birmingham because Birmingham's the biggest city in the state, and so there was a lot of politics that went on there. But the thing I remember, the thing that makes it incredibly memorable, and again, that wasn't my first game, but it was my most memorable from the longest I can remember back, is Georgia Tech. Alabama's coming off a national championship. Georgia Tech is horrible, and Georgia Tech beat them 24-21. And I remember sitting there because Alabama had a chance to tie the game with a long field goal, and it literally would have been a tie game because there was no overtime in those days. And I can remember there, and that's when I think I became a sports junkie. is I were sitting there as they were lining up for the field goal thinking, I think I'd rather him miss the field goal than us lose than for us to tie. I remember I told my dad that. I would rather for us to lose than to tie.
Yeah. It's like kissing your Georgia Tech sister.
Go.
Exactly.
There
So
it
he-
is.
That bumblebee
Yeah. So, yeah, he missed it, and Alabama lost 24-21. To tell you how bad of a loss that was Georgia Tech's only win that year.
Wow.
Alabama was number 2 in the nation.
Who was coaching Alabama? That
Paul Bear Bryant.
was Brian was there for that?
Yeah, that was his next to last season.
Did he like just
I was gonna
sack
say, was this-
players
I
during?
think they won the rest of their games. So it was just very interesting. They went on, I think they finished 11-2 that year, number 3 in the nation. He won his 315th game later that year, which broke the record at that time for most wins at the Division I level.
And he is your eponym. Is that correct?
my EpiPen?
Brad,
That's-
see,
You're at the Yellow Jackets. Yeah.
Sorry.
Yes.
You were named after
I'm
him.
lactose intolerant, so I had to have an EpiPen with me. And
Eponym.
yes,
EPONYM. Yes.
yes, he is that. I was my namesake.
yeah, like a synonym.
Who don't know? Yes, like a synonym. Paul. My name's Paul. So
So I put in my applesauce, a little cinnamon.
But is it the eponym is the opposite of the namesake, right? Namesake is the one.
I have no idea, dude.
Eponym is the
You
source.
enriched my word power already.
Hey,
thought
if you're
you told
listening,
Paul-
you know.
Brian was their godfather.
What?
Say it again, Rob.
I thought Paul Bryant was your godfather. No?
Not quite, but he is the Godfather. So, yeah. So, but we got there early enough. My dad got me. I was with my dad, but we were there early enough just to see all of the sights and sounds, like you were talking about earlier, Kev. On a college campus, significant college football and all of the pageantry. That's a word that's only used to describe college football. Typically,
Yes.
by the way,
Yes.
pageantry.
It's either a beauty pageant or it's college football.
Yeah, I don't think it's even hardly used for beauty pageants
It's
that
not.
much.
It's
But
not.
it's college football. It's the pageantry of college football on the campus, and because you don't use it to describe it when they're playing a bowl game, but on campus college football, the pageantry. So, but yeah, all the stuff that goes on at the game, and but we were there early enough that when the team arrived, they would always take a walk around the field in their coats and ties and such, and so there we were, and that's when I saw Coach Bryant for the first time in person, and again, it was just kind of one of those moments where I was like, he was a huge man, and
Seersucker.
Yeah.
Seersucker.
houndstooth. That's okay. We can edit that out too. He wasn't one of the
I'm a loser. I don't know the difference. I'm a
What?
loser.
Vlad.
Eponym.
So anyway, oh man,
Hey, you win some, you lose some.
yes, we do.
Unless
I
you're
do-
Alabama,
I
then
have
you
a
win them all.
I have a sponsor of the week, but I don't know if we. He may have already been a sponsor of the week, so I'll apologize in advance just in case.
They can go twice.
But hailing from Wausau Bible Church in Wausau, Wisconsin, and I already picked this before you guys were talking about Wausau before we began. Mr. Chris Juvenal,
Yeah.
and the father of staff member Titus Juvenal, and so thanks, Chris. I know you're not watching or listening, but thanks for not watching or listening.
Yeah.
And thanks for being a faithful sponsor for so many years.
Yes.
And didn't he first start sponsoring us when he was still in Minneapolis area?
Yes.
Oh yes, that's true.
Inver Grove Heights.
There you go. Thank you.
Right, yes. With
That's a good tidbit.
From there.
the pastor's name, I can't remember.
Um,
I'll be back.
Verway.
Yes.
Oh, he's with Verway.
Yeah.
He was the assistant with Verway. Back.
Who's with Verway now?
Where'd Rob go?
Rob. I think he got upset about my saying seersucker instead of houndstooth.
Yeah, he went to look up EpiPen or something. So, well, should we sign off without Rob?
Sure.
We
Yeah.
signed on without Nate. We could sign off without Rob.
What would happen if we all signed off and just left Rob's computer going? Would it still be recording?
What would happen if right now Nate showed up in Rob's chair?
Mind blown.
I would cry. I think I would cry.
Beautiful.
All right.
All right.
Well, on behalf of Rob Phipps, who's no longer with us, and Kevin Moses and Aaron Boyce, this is Paul Witt. Thanks again for watching, listening, and we'll see you down the road.